There we go. But if we want to go ahead and start in a simple seated pose as we normally do, go ahead and take those shoulders up toward your ears, squeeze those trapezius muscles, and then just relax them down. Let them float away from your ears. If you'd like to soften your gaze or close your eyes, you're welcome to do that. And then just start to bring your attention to this present moment. Maybe take a deep breath if that feels good to you. And if you can notice your breath, just notice what's happening with it. Is it fast? Is it slow? And then as you notice it, you might also notice that it changes. Because awareness is often the first step to change. So when you're ready, go ahead and take your chin straight down to your chest as you sit nice and tall. Taking a nice deep breath. And when you're ready, go ahead and roll that left ear to the left shoulder. Getting a nice stretch on the side of your neck. And roll that chin back down to your chest. Taking another deep breath. And then roll that right ear to right shoulder. Then go ahead and roll that chin down to your chest once more. And then go ahead and bring that head back up. When you're ready, you're going to take the palms of your hands to the front side of your knee. And we're going to go ahead and tuck our chins again. But we're going to keep going as we round our backs down slightly. Getting a little stretch on the top side of our shoulders, across the shoulders and the back, even a little bit into the midsection too. And go ahead and release that up. Hey, good morning. Good morning. And then let's do that one more time. So tucking the chin, rounding the shoulders down, using the hands, the palms on the front side of the knees for support. And taking a nice deep breath. And then releasing that up once more. This time, go ahead and do some shoulder rolls up towards your ears and back and down. And then reverse the direction. So going forward. Continuing to breathe as you do so. And then allowing those shoulders to settle down away from your ears. We're going to look all the way to the left. And then on the next exhale, go ahead and tip that chin down to your shoulder. And then looking up once more, inhale. And then exhale as you come back to center. And then inhale and look all the way to your right. As you exhale, go ahead and tip that chin down towards your shoulder. And then looking up, go ahead and inhale once more. And then exhale, look back to center. Let's do that one more time, looking all the way to the left. Inhale. Exhale as you tip your chin to your shoulder. Inhale and look up. And then exhale, look forward. And then the other side, inhale as you look to the right. Exhale as you chip your chin down. Inhale as you come up again. And then exhale as you come forward. Very good. So this time we're going to leave our palms on the front side of our knees. We're going to go ahead and arch our back as we tip back onto our tailbone for a little cat pose as you exhale. And then as you inhale, go ahead and pull on those knees, open up the chest, looking up toward the ceiling. And then just go ahead and oscillate between those two positions, going back and forth. Exhaling on one, inhaling on the other. Maybe doing 4 or 5 of those. And then coming back to center. We're going to go ahead and take one foot in front of the other, and then placing our hands on the mat, we're going to walk our hands forward as we bend over top of that front leg. And here we'll pause, and I will read for us our meditation for today. It says, the thing about sowing seeds and waiting for them to spring into their bloom is that before any of that begins, the soil must be prepared. The ground must be broken before anything can grow. So let me read that one more time. It says, the thing about sowing seeds and waiting for them to spring into their bloom is that before any of that begins, the soil must be prepared. The ground must be broken before anything can grow. So it's kind of a thought for us to meditate on, maybe think about our own lives and where that might be true. Go ahead and walk your hands back towards center. We're going to switch whichever leg is in front here. And then placing our hands back on the mat. We'll go ahead and walk those hands away from us once more. Lean forward for a nice stretch on the outside of that hip. It is interesting to me that there's so many things that are true in the physical that are also true in the spiritual realm of things. If we are so rigid and unwilling to learn, a lot of times that rigidity has to be broken first before something new can grow. The same with the soil, right? It has to be tilled, it has to be worked before we can actually let something grow. Go ahead and walk your hands back towards your body. We're going to open up those legs into a wide open A. We did a lot of forward stretches on Tuesday. So if you're feeling sore on your hamstrings, that might be why. We're going to take our hands and place them on the mat in front of us, and then just simply stretch forward again, hinging from your hips. Taking some nice deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, you can walk your hands over to the left-hand side. Taking another nice deep breath. And walking those hands back towards center, pausing first in the center. And then walking those hands over to the right-hand side. Again, taking a nice deep breath here. And then walking those hands back towards your body, we're going to bend that right knee, and we're going to roll over onto the top of this back leg to come into a pigeon pose on the right side. And if you would like, you can go ahead and bend forward over top of that bent knee.
For those of you that have it in your practice, if you would like to bring that back leg up towards your body and hook your hand around those toes, feel free to do that if that's comfortable for you. And as always, just do what is best for your body, listening to it, responding to what it's telling you. So then we're going to go ahead and work ourselves back up onto our hands, sitting on that right hip, allowing the top of the left thigh to come up as we turn towards center and open once again into wide open. Again, we're going to start in the center with our hands on the mat, coming down, hinging at the hips. And then walking your hands over to the right side. And then go ahead and walk those hands back toward the center. Pause in here for a second. And walking those hands over to the left side. And walking them back to center once more. And go ahead and crawl those hands back towards your body. Then the left knee this time. And then turning over so that way the top of your right thigh is down toward the mat. And turn to pigeon pose on the left side here. And then if you would like, you can bend forward over top of that front knee. As always, if you would like to make a couple of fists, stack them one on top of the other in order to rest your forehead on those fists for a little bit of support for your neck, feel free to do that. And then continue to breathe deeply. Maybe considering our meditation for today, thinking about, again, the places in your life that had to be tilled up in order for you to be ready to grow in the next season. Maybe consider what you thought of at the time when that kind of tilling or the breaking of the ground was happening. And then also consider how you felt after you saw the growth in your life happening. When you're ready, you can work yourself up onto your hands once more, sitting down on that left hip. We're going to turn toward the front, but this time we're going to bring the soles of our feet together, coming into butterfly pose. We can either bounce our knees, or we can press our knees down toward the mat, either with our elbows, or you can engage your glutes in order to do that. Again, taking some nice deep breaths here. When you're ready, you can go ahead and come up out of that. We're going to bring our knees together and turn ourselves so we can lower onto the mat. So kind of roll yourself down. I'm going to work on some bridge poses today. So you want to take your arms alongside of your body. Keep both feet on the mat. Check in with your knees that they're about hip width apart to start. And then pressing your heels into the mat, start to peel your spine off of the mat, coming up into bridge pose. So you're at an angle connecting your knees, your hips, and your shoulders. Go ahead and take some deep breaths here. Think about also pulling that belly button in towards your spine, engaging your core. And then when you're ready, go ahead and come down one vertebrae at a time. The tailbone is the last thing that comes down to the mat. And then draw both knees in toward your chest and rock back and forth across that low back. Coming back to center, go ahead and put your feet on the mat first. And then we're going to take one leg down to the mat, and then the next leg down. We're going to work our hands underneath our hips here, a little added support. And then press our elbows into the mat as we draw our hearts toward the ceiling for fish pose. So that looks like this. Allowing that neck to be just a natural extension of your spine. You're not overarching it or bending it in a kind of angled way. Taking a deep breath. And then again, coming down one vertebrae at a time. Allowing your head to be the last thing that comes down to the mat. And working those hands out from underneath your hips. Go ahead and bring your knees back in towards your chest, but then put your hands behind your knees and rock yourself up into a seated pose. And then give yourself just a little bit of time to adjust here. We're going to come into pose. We're going to take our hands parallel to the floor, and you can raise your toes up off of the mat. And once you have this position down, then you can start to angle back slightly, keeping those arms parallel to the floor. And then you can start to extend the levers, so to speak, to make it more difficult for yourself if you would like. So you can either bring one leg up at a time like this. You can bring both legs up. You can extend the legs straight out if you would like, depending on what your level of comfort is today. And then once you've found, I'm going to do the simple version so I can keep talking. Otherwise, get out of breath.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. And then once you have your legs in the position you want them to be in, you can also explore kind of extending your arms, either up overhead, down by your ears. You might feel your abdominal wall shaking, and that's okay. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and put your hands behind your knees, and then round yourself down, extending the legs out one at a time again. Taking a nice deep breath. And then working your hands underneath your hips once more. And press those elbows into the mat as we draw the heart up toward the ceiling, fish pose again. Again, just taking some nice deep breaths here. And then lowering down one vertebrae at a time. Working those hands out from underneath your hips. And then bringing your feet to the mat. Working those shoulders down away from your ears if they've kind of snuck up there. Checking in with your arms that they're down alongside your body. And then this time you're going to heel toe your feet together. And then bring your knees together. And then do a bridge pose. So pushing your heels into the mat, bringing your hips up toward the ceiling. Using those hands as you press them into the mat on either side for balance. Again, engaging that core. Noticing which muscles are tensing and tightening here. You'll feel this probably in your glutes and in your hamstrings and in your low back space. And then go ahead and come down again, one vertebrae at a time. And then bringing both knees in toward your chest, rocking back and forth. Once more from side to side. As you take some deep breaths here, as you rock back and forth from side to side, let me read our thought for us again today. It says, the thing about sowing seeds and waiting for them to spring into their bloom is that before any of that begins, the soil must be prepared, the ground must be broken before anything can grow. Coming back to center, go ahead and press those feet down onto the mat once more. We're going to go ahead and do another bridge pose. So pressing our feet into the mat, drawing the hips up toward the ceiling. And if you can, shift your weight to one foot and see if you can start to pick up that other foot off of the ground. It may just be a little motion like this, or it may be that you're able to extend your leg out away from your body and hold it like this. And that either way is just fine. You're just kind of engaging that left hamstring a little bit more. And then settling both feet back on the mat, go ahead and round down. Again, pulling those knees into your chest. This time, reaching through for the outside edges of your feet. Go ahead and bring those knees down toward the mat for happy baby pose. On your next exhale, go ahead and release that down to the mat once more. Settling those feet on the mat, bring your arms down alongside your body, then pushing your hips up toward the ceiling once more. This time you're shifting your weight to the other side and starting to see if you can pick up that other leg. Again, it might just be kind of a series of steps that you do. It might be that you extend it out away from your body and hold it. Whatever version is best for you today, feel free to do that. And then when you're ready, settle both feet back into the mat, then rounding down, drawing those knees in towards your chest first. And then reaching through to grab for the outer edges of your feet. And pulling those knees down toward the mat once more for happy baby pose. When you're ready, you can release those feet. Bring them back down to the mat. This time we're going to roll to one side. Push ourselves up and turn over onto all fours. And then here we're going to do some full cat-cows. So go ahead and start by allowing that belly to come down, the head to come up as you inhale, tailbone to come up. And then exhale as you arch your back. Exhaling, tucking that tailbone. Following your own breath, going at your own pace. We'll be doing 3 or 4 of those at your own pace. And then coming back to neutral, you're going to take those toes together, knees as wide as the mat, sitting those hips back on your feet. Go ahead and extend your arms forward as you rest your head on the mat in child's pose. Taking some deep breaths here. And go ahead and walk your hands off to the right-hand side, really opening up that side body. It's interesting, sometimes in Western culture, we think that we act in a vacuum. We sometimes don't realize how connected our actions are to other things. And in these poses, I see that as we, stretch to the right here, we have this contraction on one side and opening on the other side. When you're ready, you can go ahead and walk those hands first to center, but then all the way to the left-hand side. Again, really opening up that side body, contracting in through the other. I think it's the same with our meditation for today. We think about the ground being prepared before a seed can be planted. All of those things are connected and interconnected. So maybe you're experiencing some kind of growth in your life currently. Maybe you can trace that back to moments before when the ground was being tilled, so to speak, in your life, when things were being prepared for the moment that you're in currently. When you're ready, you can walk your hands back to center. Walking your hands back underneath your shoulders. We're going to go ahead and come up and tuck our toes. And then we're going to shift our weight onto those feet, coming into a low yoga squat at the end or at the back of your mat. And then when you're ready, you can start to lift your hips toward the ceiling, coming into our first forward fold of the day at the back of the mat. And then bending your knees deeply. Go ahead and place your hands on your knees. And then slowly round yourself up. Then check in with your posture once more. So checking your balance on your feet. You're not shifting your weight just to one side or the other. Checking with your tailbone that's softened down, that those low abdominals are engaged. Think about extending your spine and creating space between each of those vertebrae. Think about your shoulders, just having them soften down away from your ears and from your neck. You're not actively pushing them down, but just letting them hang in a natural kind of place. And then checking in with your chin, that's not jutting out, but that your ears are actually over top of your shoulders. Coming back into alignment here. When we're ready, we're going to go ahead and step forward with our left foot today. We're leading both toes toward the short edge of the mat. The back heel is lifted, the front knee is slightly bent. We want to make sure that both feet are pressed into the mat. And once we have that preparation finished, then we'll be ready to raise our arms up into crescent lunge. When you're ready, you can take both hands. We're gonna bend that front knee even more deeply. You might need to move that back foot out behind you slightly to come down into runner's lunge. Again, taking some nice deep breaths here. You might feel a slight stretch across that right hip flexor. Then stepping that back foot in slightly, and extend that front leg, coming into triangle pose. You might feel this on the back side of the back leg calf muscle. You'll probably definitely feel it on the hamstring of that front leg. Then bending that knee, the front knee that is, you're gonna walk your hands out in front of you as you then straighten that leg, bringing the back leg up off the mat for half split. And just coming as far as feels comfortable to you. Then setting that foot back down, bending that front knee, coming back into runner's lunge. We're gonna go ahead and blade that back foot, which means pressing the outside edge into the mat. And then pinwheel those arms up into warrior two. And taking those arms back down, framing that front foot. We're gonna allow the back heel to come up and step back in slightly as we straighten that front leg once more. And bending that front knee slightly, allowing the heel to come up of that back foot. And you can go ahead and lift up into crescent lunge. And here you can either step to the back of the mat, or you can step to the front of the mat, and then we can follow a vinyasa series with me. So inhaling up, palms together, exhale all the way down. Inhale to fingertips. Exhale as you come down and step back into plank. Going all the way down. Coming up into cobra. Exhale all the way down. Inhale and tuck your toes. Exhale into plank. Shifting your hips back into downward facing dog. And then walking your hands back towards your feet. Inhaling both arms up. Coming all the way. And then releasing the arms down into mountain pose. Very good. When we're ready, we're going to take that right foot this time forward. Thinking again about the preparation of this pose. Bending that front leg slightly. The heel is up in the back. So over top of the ball of the foot if you can. And then once those feet are set, lifting the arms for crescent lunge. Taking a couple deep breaths here. And both hands down to frame that front foot. You might need to step that back foot back slightly. Come to a runner's lunge on the other side. And stepping the back foot in again just slightly. Coming into triangle pose on the other side. And looking forward, we're going to bend that front knee slightly as you crawl those hands 10 and 2. And then you're going to take that back foot and lift it up into the air if you can. Again, just as far as feels comfortable to you. When you're ready, you're gonna go ahead and release that foot down. And then that front knee, coming back into runner's lunge. And when you're ready, we're gonna go ahead and step that back foot in slightly once more, straightening the front leg, coming back into our triangle lunge, triangle pose rather. Then bending that front knee, we're gonna step that back foot back and turn it. Taking our arms up, into warrior two, and right down. And then pinwheeling those arms back down to frame that front foot. Allow that back heel to come up again. And then here, we're either going to, oh, you guys, I did that out of order, I apologize. We're either gonna step forward, or you can step back into plank and then walk your hands back toward the back of the mat and then wait for us there. Or you can step forward here, and inhale our arms all the way up. And then we're gonna do a full vinyasa here. So arms up, exhale all the way down. Inhale to fingertips. Exhale all the way down as you step back with the other foot this time. Exhale all the way down to the mat. Untuck the toes, lift and inhale to cobra. Exhale all the way down. Inhale and tuck your toes. Exhale and push up into plank. And then shift your hips back. Have a burst into downward facing dog. And then walking your hands all the way back for a forward fold. Lifting your arms out to either side as you inhale. And then exhale down into mountain. Very good. So we've come to our balancing postures for today. So if you need to move towards something to grab onto it, feel free to do that. I'm going to come to the center of my mat here. And we're going to go ahead and start in our mountain pose. That base or preparation for so many things that we do in yoga. And then when you're ready, you're going to shift your weight to the left foot. Draw the right foot in like that little kickstand. Bring your hands to heart center for tree. And then feel free to explore that a little further if you would like. So bringing the foot up, if that's comfortable for you. Extending arms out to either side if that's also comfortable for you. Taking a nice deep breath. Engaging your core. And bring those hands back to heart center when you're ready. Taking that foot back down and then releasing that pose, coming back into mountain, kind of shaking that out. Starting in the center again, in mountain pose. We're going to shift to the right foot this time, drawing that left foot in, drawing our hands to heart center once more. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and explore a little further. So bringing that leg up to where it feels comfortable to you. Again, extending arms out to either side if that's okay for you too. Engaging your core. If you want an added challenge here, you can go ahead and close your eyes. It's amazing what that does for our proprioception. And then when you're ready, go ahead and bring those hands back to heart center. Allow that foot to come down. And then go ahead and release all of that down, shaking that out. We're gonna do one more balancing pose today. And I was kind of wavering between whether we do a big toe pose or whether we do dancer pose. So do you guys have a preference on, on what we do?
I've never done the big toe.
The
one,
big toe
actually.
So do you want to try it?
I'm not sure it'll work today, but
Okay, well then
whatever you
we'll
want to do is
we'll
fine.
do dancer today then. That'll be great.
It
So-
shouldn't be me who decides. I'll still try.
That's right, that's right. So we're gonna start here in mountain pose, shifting our weight to our left, drawing that right foot up behind us, placing the top of the foot in the palm of the right hand. And then once you have your balance here, extending that left arm out in front of you, starting to press the top of that foot into the palm of your hand to arch your back. Leaning forward to help with balance. Continuing to breathe while you do so. Then when you're ready, releasing that back down. And stepping out of that, shaking out that other foot. And then starting here once more in mountain pose. And then shifting your weight to the right foot. And then when you're ready, go ahead and bring that left foot up, placing the top of that left foot in the palm of your left hand. Extending that right arm out in front of you. Then starting to press the top of that foot into the palm of your hand, allowing that back to arch. Shifting your weight forward, leaning forward to keep your balance. Continuing to breathe.
This is a wobbly day for
It is
me.
a wobbly day sometimes, you know? So that's why you just do what you can.
Yeah.
It's like
Even with
sometimes you need
shoes,
to
I mean,
hold
shoes
on to
seem help,
something.
but
When you're ready, you can release that down.
I got the shake it all about part.
Shake it all about, that's right. Here in the center of our mat, let's go ahead and stretch the top of our feet slightly. So we're gonna tuck the toes behind as you gently press down. And then go ahead and tuck the toes, leaning back into that stretch slightly. Kind of stretching your toes in the other direction. You might feel a little bit of a stretch in your arch as well. Then stepping forward, we'll do the other side. So taking the left foot, tuck the toes underneath, and then press down so you can get a nice stretch across the front side of your foot.
This should not be hard.
But it is sometimes,
Yes, it
isn't it?
is.
Yeah.
We've done one like this before too for that.
Yeah,
Where you kind of bend into it, but today I'm just wobbly. So.
that's okay.
But you cannot, you have to be real careful on these, not to put too much weight on
Right.
that part.
Yep, exactly. So it's a little bit still balancing. Then go ahead and tuck those toes, leaning back slightly. Again, stretching across.
You could
Those
do them
toes.
against the wall.
Yeah, you can definitely hold on to something if you need to here. And then releasing that out. Go ahead and let's rotate our ankles a couple of times on either side. Then going the opposite direction. And then coming down to the mat, we are coming down to our cool down section. So we'll go ahead and roll ourselves back down here, bringing our knees to our chest. Rock back and forth across that low back if you like. Maybe turning your focus to the things that you were able to do today. And thankful for the ways that your body moves and still does certain things. When you're ready, you can bring your knees back to center and go ahead and release those feet down to the mat. We're gonna heel toe those feet together, allowing the knees to come down to either side for reclined bound angle pose. And if you need to, you can take your hands to the outside of your thighs for a little bit of support, or you can just rest them down alongside your body or on your abdomen. And another nice deep breath here. When you're ready, you can go ahead and help those knees together. Bring the soles of your feet back to the mat. We'll go ahead and take our feet out as wide or wider than the mat. And then allow one knee to come in first. Drop it down toward the center. And then go ahead and bring that knee up away from center. Drop the other knee down into the center. And then bringing that knee up out of the center. Heel toe those feet so that way they're hip width apart once more. We're going to leave our arms down alongside of our bodies. We're going to engage our core, so pull that belly button in toward the spine. And you're going to lift your knees into kind of a tabletop position here. So as you do that, you'll find your stomach muscle and core muscles engaging even more deeply. And then we're going to just rotate, tapping our toes down to the mat. So tapping one foot down and then the other. Just slowly and intentionally. If you need to bring your knees in further in order to do this in a safer way, feel free to do that. If you bring your knees in further towards your chest, it tends to protect your low back a little bit better. If you want more engagement, then you can leave those knees directly over top of your hips. Maybe one more. And bringing those knees all the way in towards your chest. Go ahead and rock back and forth across the low back once more. Then leaving those knees together, go ahead and drop them off to one side. Extending your arms out to either side for a nice reclined spinal twist. And maybe bring your mind's eye or your attention back to our meditation that we started with this morning. Thinking about what kind of a season you're in, what kind of preparation might this be for the next season? Maybe what led you here to this moment? When you're ready, you're going to bring one knee at a time back to center. And then kind of glue in those knees and feet together once more. You're going to drop them off to the other side. And leaving your arms extended out to either side. And another deep breath. And at a time, back to center. You're gonna take both feet. Bring your arms down alongside your body. You cross the right ankle over the left knee, and then draw that low body in toward your chest. Again, breathing deeply. And releasing that down to the mat. I'm going to take the other side. So taking the left ankle across the right knee and then drawing that in toward the chest. And then when you're ready, you can release that down to the mat. And this time, you're taking one leg and extending it down, taking the other leg and extending it down, releasing all the tension you might feel in that lower body. Checking in with your abdomen, that it's nice and soft. Releasing any tension you might feel across your hips, across your low back, across your mid back. Again, checking in with your shoulders and upper back and neck. We've come to our final relaxation pose here. Let me read our thought for us one more time. It says, the thing about sowing seeds and waiting for them to spring into their bloom is that before any of that begins, the soil must be prepared. The ground must be broken before anything can grow. So as we take a few moments of silence, maybe I would invite you, I guess, to be curious about that phrase that we read. And again, where that might be true in your own life. What part sticks out to you today? When you're ready, you can go ahead and start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Excuse me. And start to turn to one side. And gently pushing yourself up into a seated position. And then let me breathe this as we close. God, God, thank you that you are involved in all the stages of growth. Not just in the outcome portion of that, but in all of the contemplation and the pre-contemplation of it. In the moments when we recognize that we're ready for a change, but not quite ready to actually take action. God, we know that you are present through all of that. So God, in this season, we remember that you are Emmanuel, God with us in every moment. And we lean into that grace, and we thank you for your love for us in each of these moments. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Audrey.
Yeah, thank you.
How's your son doing? Oh, and everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, so much sickness is going around right now.
Kind of